Welcome everyone to the first follow-up webinar from the CMTC 20 Virtual Shifts Happen Conference. My name is Kimber Karinskis. I'm the Event and Marketing Coordinator for NHCMTC, and together with Misty and the National Library Media Association and the New Hampshire Association of School Principals, we put on the Krista McAuliffe Conference each year. This year, we have decided to offer some follow-up webinars from our solution partners, and our very first one that we'll be offering today is from Digital Responsibility. The topic is going to be what the most important SEL skills are in digital citizenship, and we will be hearing from Carrie Rogers-Whitehead. She is the founder of Digital Responsibility, which is a mission-based company that teaches tens of thousands of students, parents, and educators each year on digital citizenship. She's the author of several academic titles, including Digital Citizenship, Teaching Strategies and Practice from the Field, and regularly writes and contributes to technology journals. Carrie and her company believe that to change online behavior, we have to develop skills, not just share knowledge, and their experiential learning-based instruction works to make that happen. So without further ado, I want to welcome Carrie Rogers-Whitehead.
Thank you, Kimra. And so this is a short bite-sized presentation. We're going to get right to it. It's only 15 minutes long, so I'm going to be kind of short, cover these big topics to hopefully help you with this concept of digital citizenship. And just like Kimra, I still struggle to say this name, digital citizenship, but it is an area, it is a multidisciplinary field that has gotten a lot of attention, even more so this year with issues of remote learning, equity, access, and particularly media literacy and some of those components of what we've seen online. As we are more online and our students are more online, these skills become more important. So I'm going to share what we have found in our work and our experience working with parents, educators, and students, the most important SEL skills there. If you do want a deep dive on this subject, I did this presentation an hour long for edweb.net. There's a free webinar that really goes into additional SEL skills that relate to digital citizenship and kind of covers it from a more detailed perspective. This is the primer. This will give you a taste, but if you're interested in more, please join there. So as I mentioned, we came up with these skills on the ground. So there's some pictures of some of our work with students. Lately, you can see from the picture on the right-hand side, we've been doing a lot more virtual work with students. We hosted a large Healthy Teens Summit last fall with about 400 teens sharing kind of their thoughts around media literacy, fake news, technology, social media, all of that. So from our work is very practitioner-based, and I miss the kids. I'm tired of seeing them through computer screens, just like you are, but we're making our best here. And as Kimra was saying, it's not just enough to like lecture and share knowledge. I give the analogy a lot when I talk to educators about how if I look, I have gained my 15 pounds of COVID, but if I want to lose weight and if I just tell myself, Carrie, don't eat as much, that ain't doing much. I can have knowledge about weight loss and diet, nutrition, and all of these things, but the knowledge really only gets me so far. It doesn't mean I'm going to stop eating cookies just because I know cookies aren't that great for me. We have to do more than just that knowledge, and we have to change attitudes and then teach the skills. So some of the skills for diet might be something like self-regulation, being able to say, no, I don't want that right now. Or maybe some issues of like time management, changing my environment if I want to lose weight. That's how we do it, not just saying, I'm going to lose weight, because, you know, plenty of people have had that on their New Year's resolutions, and that doesn't turn out too great. So when we are talking about these digital citizenship SEL skills, when we talk about digital citizenship in general, we do a lot of like lecturing and explaining and knowledge, but knowledge really only is the first piece to behavioral change. So these are 5 skills. This is the first one, and it's a biggie, the ability to transition. This is especially hard for a lot of our kiddos with sensory processing disorders, ADHD, or those that are on the spectrum. This ability to transition is important for everyone, because when you are on technology, you can have multiple tabs, pings, notifications, all of it. To be able to switch from one window to another, to this task, to this task, is a vital skill for 21st century learning and a vital skill for digital citizenship. Part of digital citizenship is that wellness component, that finding that balance, and being able to shift and pivot and be aware of our own focus and how we transition and how our brain shifts over. Can we get into flow? Can we get into that deep sense? It's hard. These are hard things, to the ability to transition. It's something that can be taught, though. It's something to make us more aware of. We can share information about how multitasking affects the brain. We can let students know what's happening to their brain when they switch to focus, and we can encourage them on transitioning through things like centers in the room, tasks in order. This is what starts at a very young age in preschool, when you have the different tables and one has the blocks and one has the colors. Being able to shift from the blocks and the colors is a skill we start learning at preschool, but then we kind of stopped doing it, and then we had technology on top of it. So the ability to transition is our first of the SEL skills. So I have listed these, not necessarily order of importance, but the last one to me, in my opinion, is the biggie. So number 5 is, in my opinion, the most important SEL skill when it comes to digital citizenship. So the second one, the first one was ability to transition. The second is self-efficacy. This is not self-esteem. They are different. If you grew up in the 90s, like I did, you heard just be yourself, but you can do anything. Well, those are wonderful things to tell kids, but it's hard to believe that you can do anything until you've done something. Is that right? So it's more than just necessarily believing in yourself. It's doing the task and developing that confidence through that experience and that self-mastery. So people who have that high self-efficacy don't internalize a lot of their failures or their issues. They can see, okay, well, this is how this goes. I'm learning here. There are external factors here. I did not study enough from this math test, so I didn't do as well on the test, as opposed to self-blame, which would be, I suck at math. And this is a switch that kids have to go through, that adults have to go through, to recognize their own, look outside themselves, not shame or blame themselves, and develop that self-mastery skill. So if you, in digital citizenship, if you have high self-efficacy, you can say to yourself, I can turn off this YouTube channel. I can, you believe in your own ability to transition. You believe in your own ability to make those good choices and to be safe online. The third one is, of course, critical thinking, and we're all talking about that right now. As I was talking about earlier in this webinar, how media literacy is that part, and that digital communication part of digital citizenship, and this relates to how we're evaluating and perceiving and looking at information and data and people and all of it out there. So it's to form this judgment in an unbiased manner, and how our algorithms are set up, they encourage a lot of that bias. Our posts educate, they're not, the posts that educate are not as popular as the posts that titillate. So being able to have those critical thinking skills to non-judgmentally step back from the emotion and look at the media can really help us, not only with evaluating information, but also what choices of who we are going to be online, how are we going to respond to these situations, and those kind of safety responsibility choices, those health and wellness choices in digital citizenship. So that is critical thinking. We've had ability to transition. We had self-efficacy, critical thinking, and number 4 on this list is digital empathy. So this is being able to understand that there is a person on the other side of the screen, and that actions have consequences, that other people might see the world differently than you, that they might interpret that tweet completely opposite of the way you interpret it. And that doesn't make them a bad person. That makes them a different person with different perspectives and different opinions. Empathy is something young children are developing developmentally as they go, but this digital empathy piece is like when we're missing those nonverbal cues in that in person, it's particularly important to kind of recognize this. And this can be hard for young people, especially if they've missed people, they haven't seen people, they've been on screens so much that we might kind of lose some of those social connections there. But part of empathy is like part of maturity, but unfortunately we could all do better about this digital empathy, adults in general. Just because you can't see the person, they're anonymous and they're saying things doesn't mean that what you say and how you react don't have those consequences. So that's number 4 on digital empathy. And we do that by different activities of showing media, discussing reactions, plotting, mapping. We do some mapping around emotions and reactions to media when we teach with students to really help them see how their peers are viewing the same information on digital empathy. So the last one, and the one I see as most important of SEL skills, is that ability to self-regulate. Now, relates to that ability to transition, but when I talk about ability to transition, I'm talking about being able to shift my focus quickly and being able to navigate multiple streams of information at the time. When I talk about self-regulation, I'm talking about more about recognizing emotions and feelings and how I am reacting to the stimuli. Be able to say, wow, this post makes me feel this way. Or, wow, I'm upset right now, so maybe I should make a different choice about sharing that. Or, wow, this is like a really hot issue right now, so maybe I should take a step back and learn and listen. Or, wow, maybe this is what I want to share with my grandma, and I'll realize that I have to wait for something, or I have to use a certain platform for something. It's the ability to kind of step back in these sometimes hot button controversial or even just highly charged emotionally issues that we experience online, to recognize that what our own feelings and how the stimulus is affecting us, and to be able to make the best choices for our own digital health and for the best empathy and kindness towards other people. So self-regulation is a skill we are always learning. It can be particularly hard when we have constant streams of information, the endless scroll, and so much flying at us at once. And so it's particularly important to be that healthy, positive digital citizen. So this is my contact information. This is a short dive here because I only have a few minutes with you. If you want to learn more or dive in deeply, I mentioned the edweb.net archived webinar is available there. And please, let's keep talking about this. SEL skills, especially with our students' mental health issues that we're seeing through this pandemic and loss of school and not being in person, are impacting all of us. So SEL needs to be taken not just as we talk about mental health and in person, but digitally too. So I'm really trying to encourage a lot of educators to look at digital citizenship beyond the knowledge into the skills and resiliency that we're building in our children. So I appreciate you joining me and joining Kimra, and I will wrap up for the day. So thank you.